안녕하세요. 울랄라 김민숙 선생님입니다. 오늘은 릭쇼걸, 미탈리 퍼킨스의 릭쇼걸에 대해서 책을 읽어보도록 하겠습니다. 보시면요, 나미야 loves to create the traditional alfana patterns Bangladesh women and girls paint in their homes for special celebrations. Her designs are always the best in the village, but Naima wishes she could help earn money for a family. Her friend Salem can drive his father's rickshaw. If only I had been born a boy, Naima thinks, born in Kolkata, India, Matali Perkins currently lives in Newton, Massachusetts. Visit her at www.mitaliperkins.com. Jamie Hogan graduated from Rhode Island School of Design with a BFA degree in illustration. She lives on an island off the coast of Miami. 네, 릭쇼걸에 대한 이야기입니다. 릭쇼걸, Matali Perkins, illustrated by Jamie Hogan. Rickshaw 알파나. 네, 앞에. 알파나. Girls and women paint these geometrical or floral patterns. 글씨를 조금 더 제일 낮춘 건데 이러네요. On her floor during celebration and holidays. They use crushed ice powder to outline the design and decorate with colored chalk, Burmilton, flower petals, wheat, or lantern powder. Some designs are passed down from generation to generation for hundreds of years. 패턴이 나오네요. 1. Namia raced through her morning clothes, trying hard to be careful. She washed the laundry in the river, making sure she didn't break any buttons this time. The other girls lazily sloshed clothes around, giggling and gossiping. But today, Naima didn't stop to chat. She pumped 4 pails of water at the well, just as mother had asked, and hauled them back one by one. She slided eggplant, chili peppers, and onions in tiny, even cubes the way mother liked them, instead of chopping them quickly into thick chunks the way she usually did. I've already wiped 4 banana leaf plates, Naima announced. Without tearing them, mother asked, her eyebrows rising like a crow's wings. Not a rip in sight. Mother smiled. Well done, Namia. You may wait outside for father. Namia went quickly to the flat, white stone just outside the doorway of her hut. Most of the homes in the village looked the same, with smooth clay walls, thatched roofs, dirt paths, and large stone threshold. They only looked different on holidays, when girls decorated their family paths and threshold with painted patterns called alpanas. 알파나스가 페인트 패턴인가 보네요. Just as their ancestors had done for generations. In Namia's village on International Mother Language Day, when the whole country celebrated the beauty of their Bangla language, the leaders gave a prize to the girl who painted the best alpanas. Humming under her breath, Naima carefully mixed up a batch of rice powder paint. She invented a new pattern of curves, lines, and squares in her mind while doing chores. Before she started painting, she had to wipe off her last practice design. Stop and think before you act. Mother often reminded her, but she never needed to warn Naima, be careful, be thoughtful when it came to painting alpanas. 이렇게 그림도 있습니다. 저는 이 표현이 좋네요. Stop and think before you act. Stop and think before you act. 이 표현 알아둘 수 있도록 하세요. Naima's mother and sister, Rashida, came home from school. She started combing out her rag doll's hair and watched Naima erase the stone. You are going to win again this year, sister, she said. I hope so, Naima said. We need another box of paint and a new pad and new pad paper, Rashida added. Naima, 여기를 좀 줄게요. Naima had made the prize last 4 months. She'd mixed the colors from the paint box to create new ones. She and Rashida had discussed how to use each precious piece of fresh paper. Should Naima paint a crocodile slinking through lily pad or a monkey clutching a coconut as if 하겠습니다. Clutch a coconut as it swung from branch to branch. They fixed the best paintings to brighten the dark clay walls inside their one-roof hut. The ring of Rickshaw Girl made Naima look up. Salim, their next-door neighbor, was pulling a passenger in his father's rickshaw. Naima watched his skinny legs turn the pedals as it puffed off the hill. The cycle was attached to the brightly painted tin cart with a leather bench and decorated canopy that shaded customers from the sun. Why don't you Salim play together anymore, sister? Rashida asked. Naima dabbed her brush into the paint. She started a border of paint circles that would go all the way around the big stone rectangle. When you get older, Mother and the aunts will tell you not to talk the boys too. They will say it's not proper. I like playing with everybody at school, Rashida said, girls and boys. You'll probably stop going soon anyway, Naima thought. Only Salim knew how much she wanted to keep going to school. 학교에 못 가나 보네요. But Naima knew her parents couldn't afford to pay fees for 2 girls. Naima had studied for 3 years. Now it was Rashida's turn. You have to do more chores when you are 10, she said, sighing. Salim and I are both too busy to play these days. Naima didn't tell her sister about the signal she and Salim used when they wanted to meet. Salim tucked a white handkerchief into his pocket. Naima tied a white bow on her bread. Once they'd finished their chores and eaten, each in their own homes, they'd slip away to talk or play cards together behind the leafy banana trees. These days, they only risked signal for important meetings. You are getting old, sister, Rashida said. You probably won't be able to wear a salwar kameez much longer. Both sisters were dressed in cotton pants under long-sleeved tunics that came to their knees. Naima made a face. I know, she said. and I can't move fast in a sari. Yards and yards of clothes that you have to wrap around yourself. They look pretty, but I feel as if I'm wearing a big bandage. Mother moves fast in her sari. Rashida said. Naima knew her sister was trying to comfort her. I suppose I will too. Once I get used to wearing one every day. I think it's hard to grow up, Rashida said, holding her rag doll close. Naima didn't answer, but sometimes she felt the same way. 이렇게 있죠. Chapter 2. Father was coming downhill. The wheels of Rickshaw stirred up a flurry of dust. He raised a hand to greet the men who were playing cards in the shade of a mango tree. The rickshaw all waited idly in the lane, and Father had to steer through a tangle of tin and tires. He parked in front of the hut. Naima looked up from her alpanas to admire Father's gleaming new rickshaw. The tassels, dangling from the handbars, were still swaying. The hind panels were adorned with painted peacock feathers, green and gold and purple, the same color as the tassels. The bright blue of the lake that was painted on the rear panel matched the blue leather seat, while lotus flowers floated on the lake. It was Rashida's turn to greet Father with a pail of river water. Father washed his face and hands and gave her a kiss. The marigolds need water, too. Little one, they look as thirsty as I am. Rashida headed for a small patch of flowers. Behind the hut, she leaned away from the heavy pail to keep her balance. Naima was glad she'd pumped plenty of fresh drinking water from the well. Father could drink as much as she wanted inside the hut. He'd been out since dawn, hauling people and packages from place to place. Right after lunch, he could head out again until midnight. She wished she could rest inside the cool clay hut. He needed to stay out of the hot sun like everybody else. But they had borrowed a lot of money to buy the rickshaw. If they didn't pay back soon, they might lose the rickshaw. And then, how would Father earn money? The alpanas get better every day, daughter. Father said, studying the design she was creating on the threshold. This one is not even halfway open. Yet, Naima answered, I've only just started. Really, it looks so good already. I'm going to paint a star in the middle, Naima told him. Father stepped over the threshold. He turned to take one last look at Rickshaw before going inside. Will you clean it for me, Naima? He asked. Nobody gets it as bright as you do. Of course, Father, Naima said. The unfinished alpana on the stone called out to her, but she jumped up and found a wet rag. Even though she rushed through her other chores, Naima took her tiny cleaning father's rickshaw. Rich people sometimes paid extra money to ride in a clean rickshaw. After scrubbing away most of the grime, she put the rag over one finger, held it in place with the other hand, and traced the outlines of paintings. She polished the lotus flowers until they gleamed like ivory. The blue tin lake sparkled in the midday sunshine. Father's rickshaw was so new that these decorations were the original ones. Each time Naima cleaned the rickshaw, she imagined scenes that rickshaw painter might invent once these panels faded. Maybe the waterfall cascading down the snowy Himalayan mountains, or a tiger, eyes blazing, peering through a leafy jungle. Mother's worried voice drifted through the open door. How much did you earn this morning, husband? Naima tried not to listen, but she couldn't help it. She was glad Rashida was stooping over the marigold in the bed, far away to hear. Not enough, father replied. Mother's sigh sounded like air leaking from the tire. 이 표현 좋네요. Naima counted to 5. She braced herself for words she'd overheard before. If only one of our girls had been a boy, Mother said. Father gave his usual quick answer. I have 2 wonderful daughters. They are just as good as boys. But you look tired. Salim takes his father's rickshaw out every afternoon so his father can rest. Our girls can do that for you. Is Naima the best alpine painter in the village? Father asked. Does she take care of her sister like a tiger guarding a cub? And Rashida is the best student in school. Yes, but Alpanas cannot put rice on the table. And what use is it if Rashida is smart? We cannot afford her school fees next year unless we pay off the rickshaw loan. Rashida was coming back. Naima dunked the rag in the half-emptied pail of water her sister was carrying. Fiercely, she scrubbed out her Alpana design until no traces of rice powder remained on the threshold. What are you doing, sister? Rashida asked. You weren't finished. That was the best one yet. Naima didn't answer. Mother was right. All that a girl could do was cook, clean, wash clothes, and decorate. She wasn't allowed to do any work that brought in money. Painting alpanos wouldn't help her father get rest or add to their earnings. It was a waste of time. Rashida, Naima, come inside. Your father is hungry. Salim drove by again. This time, a plump passenger sat on the bench of rickshaw. He was a rich-looking passenger, juicy with money. Naima scrolled and followed her sister inside the hut. Chapter 3. Three eggplant curry and lentils were tasty, but Naima couldn't eat. Father did look tired. What if he got sick again? Last time, he had coughed and shivered so badly that he hadn't been able to drive the rickshaw for weeks. They had used most of their savings to buy medicine. If father stayed healthy, Naima was sure he would earn enough to provide food and pay back the rickshaw loan. But they could never afford the list of extras that she kept tucked inside her mind. A good supply of new paint and paper weren't the only items on the list. Mother wore that same faded cotton sari every day. She needed a new one made of silk to wear on the holidays. Father didn't have a woolen shawl to keep him warm on cold nights. And Rashida glanced sadly into the sweet shop when the sister passed it. She loved Jewish Rickshaw Girl treats so much. Naima spooned her lentils until on her sister's banana leaf. If only I had been born a boy, she thought. I could earn some money. Even just a little would help. Lie down for a few minutes, husband, mother urged. You get so little rest. Even on Fridays, you drive other men to the mosque before joining them to worship. Father hesitated. He yawned. Promise to wake me after 50 minutes. Of course, mother said. She dimmed the window with an old sheet. Slowly, father lowered himself onto a mat. He searched the darkened hut to find Naima. Why don't you finish your Alpana design, my daughter? That way you can keep an eye on the rickshaw, too. Yes, father, Naima said, as she watched him slip almost instantly to sleep. Shh, girls, mother said, tiptoeing around father's quiet body. Rashida, wipe off the plate. Didn't you hear your father, Naima? Go out and take care of a rickshaw. Naima went outside into the stifling noontime heat. The card-playing man had gone inside. Somewhere a radio was blaring Bangladesh's national anthem. Naima didn't feel like painting alpanas. Instead, still frowning, she climbed onto the leather bench of father's rickshaw, where the canopy provided some shade. Salim drove by again, this time with no passenger behind him. He glanced quickly around. Nobody was in sight, so he jumped off the cycle seat and walked over to Naima. What's wrong? She asked her. Naima climbed down to join him. You help your father, she burst out. Why can't I help mine? Salim shrugged. You're a girl. Girls stay home and help their mothers. Boys earn money and work with their fathers. That's just the way it is. But why? It is not like that everywhere, Salim. When I passed the tea stall this morning and peeked in at the television, I saw a Bangladeshi lady on the screen who was a doctor. And the last time he went to the city, father told us he visited a shoe stand that was owned by a woman. If those women can do it, why can't I? What are you going to do? Open a shoe stand here? Naima sighed. That's the problem. I didn't need the money to do something like that. Besides, have you ever seen a girl or even a woman selling anything in our marketplace? You're right, Salim said. I had. They were quiet then. Too bad. I cannot turn myself into a boy. Naima said, yes, that would be great. We couldn't play like we used to, out in the open. You could join in our cricket games. And Naima, are you listening? Chapter 4. The wheels in Naima's mind were spinning wildly. She stared at Salim's clothes. He wore a short longi, a kurta shirt and cap. A cap that was just big enough to hide the girl's coiled braid. She's getting another one of her ideas. Salim told his reflection in the rickshaw's team panel. Naima, what are you thinking? What if I discussed myself as a boy? Naima asked. I could drive father's rickshaw for an hour or two every day. He'd have a chance to rest, and I could earn some money. Salim shook his head. People will still recognize you. It might work at twilight. Naima said. You cannot see faces clearly at the time of the day. Naima, it won't work, I'll tell you. Your passengers will know you are a girl as soon as they hear your voice. I wouldn't have to say much. Besides, I can sound like a boy. Listen to this. Naima deepened her voice. 3 taka for a ride to the marketplace and back. Salim grinned. You sound more like a boy than I do, he said. But this might be a good time to remember some history, Naima. Like the time you wanted us to walk all the way to the Danka Zoo, for example, even though it takes 4 hours to get there by train. We were more 6 years old. Father Ton found us before it got dark. You pulled me to shore in plenty of time. But this is different, Salim. I'm older now. I asked mother and father for permission first. Even if they let you try wearing a disguise, which I'm sure they won't, somebody in the village will find out. They will start gossiping. You will bring shame to your whole family, Naima, and you don't want to do that. I don't care, Naima said fiercely. It's more shameful that I can't help by earning a little money. Besides, mother and father can keep a secret. Even Rashida knows how to hold her tongue. I'd promised to stay away from relatives' hut. Somebody switched off the radio, and Salim climbed back on the cycle seat. There has to be another way for you to earn some money, he told her. We'll think of something, Naima. Then isn't another way, Naima said, folding his arms just jutting out of chin. Salim sighed, shook his head, and drove away. Naima stuck out her tongue at his back. Easy for you to say, she thought. You're a boy. She turned back to the rickshaw, and her imagination she moved forward with a plan. First, she'd convince her parents. Father, you need rest. You can't get sick again. Mother, it's only an hour a day. Nobody will recognize me. What a wonderful idea, Naima. Mother would say. You're so thoughtful. See? I told you mother's just as good as a son. Father would add. I knew she could do that. But could she? She squeezed at father's rickshaw, sparkling the sunshine after her cleaning. It was beautiful, but it looked so heavy. She'd never driven one before. She was about the same size as Salim, though, and he managed to turn the pedals. He'd just had to show father how good she was. Then but it was so heavy, she'd never driven one before. She was about the same size as Salim, though, and he managed to turn the pedals. She just had to show father how good she was. Then he'd be sure to let her try. 챕터 4까지 읽었습니다.